Memorial Island Sanctuary Committee to order. One of our members, Don Wickstrom, has asked to be excused for today. And if I can invite us all to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, there. Okay, I guess we'll start with the approval of the minutes of we had a regular meeting on August 1st and a special call meeting on the 16th, so we'll start with the August 1st. Minutes from the August 1st. Are there any corrections or additions or deletions?
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes as written.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. That was quite a bit of work we did there. And then I guess we'll go to the special call meeting. So again, is there any additions or corrections or deletions or anything?
I'll make the motion we approve.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? Thank you. And then we're up to, I see there's quite a few things on our new business, but at this stage of the agenda is for public comment. And I see everybody here is part of the new business or old business, so we'll go ahead and move right into new business. The first one is a request for Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary for those that were prisoners of war or held as those that were missing in action or held as prisoners of war. Remembrance Day, which is September 21st. And who's going to speak about that?
Jump ball.
Jump ball. Yeah, everybody's here, I see.
Okay. Thank you for having me, Tony Young. And at the request of the Veterans Council, I accepted the offer to help with the POW MIA Day. The ceremony is going to be on Friday, the 21st of September at 9 o'clock out at Memorial Island at the POW MIA Monument. At this time, we anticipate that VVA 1038 will be the color guard. The master of ceremonies will be Colonel Sam Kuhn, and there'll be a presentation of the colors, an invocation by our chaplain, Dave Newhart. Dolores Mark has agreed to be our vocalist, so she'll do the national anthem. And I've got a request here before me, if you're available, Mr. Chair, to do the Pledge of Allegiance. We'd love to have you.
Yes,
Are you available on the 9th?
Yes, sir. I'd be proud.
Would you like to do that?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
It's an easy one. I think I know the script already. So.
Okay, all right. Presentation of the speaker, I'm going to speak to that, and I'm very honored to have the opportunity to speak about our prisoners of war and our unaccounted for. The City Council will have a proclamation next City Council meeting for POW MIA Day. And the last statistics that I've seen in regards to the Vietnam War was 1,549 unaccounted for. And on the island itself, we have 5 men, 2 in the Pacific Theater of Operations, Hearst, who was a prisoner of war, the Japanese, in a Bataan Death March. Survivor, but he did not survive the POW camp. And then Lieutenant Hill, who was a Air Force, U.S. Army Air Corps pilot, who was shot down by the Japanese and taken prisoner and did not survive. And then we had 2 prisoners of war from the European Theater of Operations, Tech Sergeant Courtney, who was held in prison. I don't recall what the POW camp was. And then Sheffield, Ernest Osceola Sheffield, and Ernest was a cowboy here in Vero and volunteered to serve his nation and ended up losing his life in a POW camp when Allied forces struck that camp. So kind of tragic. But in addition to the prisoners of war, the missing in action, we've had missing in action counted from the First World War when we had men lost at sea with Felix Popple through the Korean War and in the Second World War and also in Vietnam. One of the names on the Vietnam Memorial is Egan, and he was unaccounted for, and he was never, there was never any closure to that. There will be a placing of the wreath at the monument. There'll be recognition of the prisoners of war, and then Dolores will have a vocal reflection. And Father Dave will have a benediction, and Michael Hyde will, what's the technical term with pipes? I guess he'll pipe Amazing Grace for the conclusion. And that'll be it. So I think right now, the only other part to bring to your attention, and I'll pass this down. This is the poster from the veterans, actually the DOD Department of Accountability. There's a more technical term for it, but this is the annual poster for POW MIA Day. And as we read probably a week ago, the efforts to account for the fallen for all wars continues today. So, questions?
No, it's our POW MIA monument is an appropriate monument for this kind of thing. In fact, when the island was being laid out, Bud Gibbs was one of the first presidents of the Veterans Council, who was also a prisoner of war in Germany. And I think a gentleman, Jerry Morgan, used to come to those ceremonies often, another person that lived here. And I guess the POW MIA monument is actually a regional one. I don't know another city close by that has one, so it kind of really covers a good, maybe Patrick has one, but, and then one of the units I was with in Vietnam, 1st Battalion, 1st Regiment, 1st Division, had one of our guys. He wasn't captured, I think he was, but he was missing. I think he slipped off into a river and drowned, and we never found him. But anyway, sad but appropriate for us to remember those. And there's thousands still from, well, when I went to Ypres and to see the trench warfare of World War I, I guess millions were missing or not accounted for, and certainly World War II has thousands. What is it, Korea, 7,000 still unaccounted for, and I think that's probably more difficult for a family, you know, if they know their loved one is just killed and they can bury them and kind of move on, but waiting and wondering, it must be a very, very difficult thing for families. The loss of Senator McCain, I didn't realize I don't want to say it. There's not an easy way to say it, but the torture in the prisoner of war camp was horrendous. And many people don't have the opportunity to see the accounts of what the prisoners of war suffered. But for those that were POWs, some returned and some didn't. So taking the opportunity to reflect on that, I think, is good. I didn't know from the EMS or from the city if there's something else that we need to attend to, Rob? Or
we did not ask for any services from the city, power or otherwise. We're expecting about 30 people, 30 to 50 people.
Okay, all right. Anything else for y'all?
Sir, I think we got it. We got the form all filled out, of course, and ready for the city.
And related to some of the old business, the City Council, upon your recommendation, did approve the Gold Star Grove. So that's good. And the plaque for the lest we forget, pedestal is on order, and once we have the confirmation of the names and specifics for the individual temporary plaques, those will be ordered as well, and anticipate that not to be concluded until Memorial Day for the temporary ones, but Veterans Day will be achievable for the Grove.
Next Veterans Day.
Say again?
Next Veterans Day? The following?
The 10th of November. This one.
This veteran, okay.
Right.
Okay.
I believe.
It's been ordered, so as long as it comes in.
And we only have 9, I mean, we have 10 of the trees, an opportunity for 10 plaques, but there's only 9 so far that we've identified.
I think what will end up happening is one of the 9 that was initially recommended is eligible for cenotaph.
Yes.
And so that will come to you. So I expect that we'll have 2 requests for cenotaphs for Jonathan Clement and also Edward Reynolds, I believe is his name. And then the 8 individuals that for temporary markers. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. So the next on the agenda is the request for the island for the Ruck March, which is the 22nd.
Mr. Matthews, do you want to ask for a motion on that first one?
We need to vote on the motion.
Oh, excuse me.
First application.
I had too much coffee today. So let's see, I'll entertain.
I'll make a motion that we approve that.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Sorry about that. So then we've approved the POW MIA Remembrance Ceremony and now the Ruck March, which I guess will wind up, hopefully we all make it over there, will wind up at Memorial Island. You want to introduce yourself since it's being recorded?
Yes, sir. My name is Jimmy Jackson. I'm with Vero Beach Veterans Next Generation. I'm going to go ahead and pass out these flyers before I start speaking. Basically, what we're doing is asking permission to use Memorial Island for the beginning and the end of this Ruck March. Well, the last one we did was pretty successful, and we always try to respect the island. We downloaded all of our gear before we actually stepped foot on the island for the last Ruck March. We set up a tent outside of the actual island. Nothing will be on the island. It'll be like last time when we download all of our gear and our food, everything will be off the island. Basically, what this Ruck March is to raise funds for the wards for war in Iraq-Afghanistan Monument. Is to raise funds for the Upward American Veterans Program, and it's also to collect food for the Indian River Food Pantry. That's pretty much it. It's going to be 6 miles beachside route. There's going to be very low danger areas and whatnot. We're going to have mobile water points for this. We're going to have permitting for this. It's in process. We have many organizations participating in this. The Gold Star Moms will be there. Indian River County Sheriff, the Jeep Club, the U.S. Army Recruiting Station will be present. The U.S. Marine Recruiting Station will be present. The Post 39 Riders. We're going to have EOC participating in this one, and the VFW. And I'm also working on the Navy Recruiting Station out of Port St. Lucie. The Senator Mayfield will be speaking on the island at the end of the Ruck March. We're working on a press release right now. My little brother will be doing a radio spot on Jack FM to be promoting this event. And also, we've also raised about $1,500 prior to this Ruck March for this event. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Well, if the community that wants to support, and I know there's many that want to support the monument and our veterans, where it actually starts at the Army recruiting office? Is that the beginning? Or where?
It will be on the island.
Oh, starts at the island. Okay.
Yes, sir. We're doing everything on the beach route this time because last time it was kind of a headache for transportation, everybody back and forth. So what we're doing is electing a beach route this time. We'll be heading up through the neighborhoods and hitting Main Street right there and go all the way down to the park and then coming back on A1A back to the Memorial Island and we'll end there.
Oh, great. Okay.
But we won't be gearing up on the island or anything like that.
Right.
Basically, what we're going to do is start on the island, have an invocation prayer, the pledge, and the national anthem, and then we'll step off at around 08:30 tentatively.
And I told my wife I was going to participate, and besides wondering if I can walk 6 miles with 30 pounds, she said, well, you can't just take a regular little backpack. You need a can the community that shows up, do they need to have for those that don't know, what is a what is the appropriate gear?
A rucksack is basically a modified backpack that the U.S. military uses. A lot of the Marines and Army call it rucksacks, but basically it's just a modified backpack with a frame that carries large amounts of weight. I mean, this time we're changing it up a little bit because we want a lot of people involved. So the minimum weight is going to be 15 pounds of non-perishable foods. The maximum weight would probably be 30 unless you just want to be high speed and carry like 50 or 60 pounds, you know. But basically, we want some of the older Vietnam vets to come out and participate in this one. We're going to have a trail vehicle in case anybody falls out, but we're actually not requiring people to actually carry the weight. What we are requiring people to do is actually donate the food if they're going to participate. If they can't carry the weight, because we understand people's got bad backs and whatnot, they can participate still. All you got to do is just donate the food.
Okay. And we'd like people to, even if they're not going to take the march, if they bring food that day, that would be helpful too for the cause as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And also to cheer those on that are heading off on the march. Well, it's a great, I was in, I think, Belgium on the last time, so I missed it, but I think it's a great, sounds like fun and a challenge for some of us. I'm not sure I like that older veterans thing, but...
What's the difference between a younger Vietnam veteran and an old Vietnam veteran?
6 to 8 years.
So again, another appropriate use for the island, especially going, you know, they would stack arms, well, I guess no arms, but stack gear outside the island, go on the island for an appropriate ceremony, and then head on out on the march, and then wind up back at Memorial Island again. So it sounds great. Any questions or comments from anyone? Well, I think we should go ahead or I entertain a motion that we approve the use of the island for this purpose. So
I make that motion that we approve that.
I'll second.
all right, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay. Sure no one's opposed, so thanks.
Thank you.
Sounds like fun, and my regular backpack will pass inspection then, huh?
Depends on what you put in it.
Styrofoam, I think. So we have a request for the island, and I guess this has been already approved, but a request for the Alzheimer's Parkinson's Walk to Remember. It was originally they had asked for it for November 10th, but that's our Veterans Day ceremony, and then we had asked them to change it. I think we suggested the 17th, but it's on the 3rd, which, Bruce, are you heading out, sir? The Parkinson's, and I won't hold you up if you've got to get going, but the Parkinson's Walk to Remember is the same day as your parade, downtown Veterans Parade on November 3rd. I hope that doesn't, where people go, I don't know which way to go. I hope it doesn't affect either one. But
Well, probably not. And the parade downtown will be at 0900, step off, and probably not more than about 45 minutes. I imagine that there'll be different demographics that are served between the two different activities. So I don't think it would be a conflict. That is going to be a busy couple weeks throwing the centennial activities as well. I think November is going to be busy between the centennial and the veterans activities and the holidays at the tail end.
And so the whole rest of the year too, with all of the activities.
Yeah, this is true.
So since I know we'll hear about it more at Veterans Council meeting, but since this is televised and some that might not know, that maybe you want to give us a quickie on the November 3rd veteran. It's a parade to honor veterans.
That's right. So on November 3rd, the Veterans Council is partnering with the Cultural Council, and we're hosting hosting a veterans parade that will commence at the just north of Pocahontas Park at the parking lot there at the community center. We'll proceed down 14th Avenue southbound, turn on 19th Street, and then culminate at or about that grass area on the north side of the Freshman Learning Center. And this is a veterans parade, so we'll have participation from all of our veteran organizations in the community, and we're also welcoming other civic organizations that want to join us. The Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts have shown desire to participate, the Vero Beach High School Band, and we're looking forward to celebrating the veterans in our community, and also celebrate our historic downtown district, and partner with the Cultural Council and the work they're doing with the Cultural Arts Village there in the Edgewood neighborhood. So it's going to blend all sorts of interesting and disparate connections in the community. It's going to step off at 0900, and as I said earlier, we're a small town, it's a small organization, so I suspect that we're not going to mess up traffic more than about 15-20 minutes on the outside. And there'll be more information passed as we get finer tuning on our scheduling and our keynote addresses and the master of ceremonies and all that stuff. But consider this a warning order for November 3rd, 0900 there in our downtown district.
And the Cultural Council has done a lot of nice things in the community. One is when you all had the program at the Heritage Center to raise funds for the war, pardon me, I've got it screwed up here.
Words from War.
Words from War, thank you.
That's fine.
Yeah, and that was nice. I was there, and I had sold artwork to help fund that, and it needs funding. There's quite a bit of funds needed for the Words of War monument. So again, it's televised, and anyone that wants to help, that's a good cause. And the Cultural Council is helping, or putting on this parade with the Veterans Council is another good thing.
That's right. And John Michael, you had asked earlier about how people can learn more about the Words from War monument and the other good things that the next generation veterans are doing. You can visit our website. It's real easy. It's wordsfromwar.org. So www.wordsfromwar.org. And we on that website, we have a description of our monument project, and we also describe the different activities that next generation veterans are involved with, and we give people an opportunity if they want to volunteer with us, work with us, or contribute financially to the success of our programs. And also as a reminder, when we started this initiative, we committed as an organization to take half the proceeds of our fundraising efforts and gift those proceeds back to the Veterans Council in an unrestricted format. And so we have done that, and we're continuing to do that with our capital fundraising campaign goal of $300,000. We're about $60,000 towards that goal, and we would certainly appreciate the help of the community to get us across the line for the other $240,000. And if you are going to Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary, as you approach the island, you'll see just on the east side of the roundabout, we have just installed a sign showing the community the future site of the Words from War monument. So please take a look at the sign. You'll see the location where we're at, and you'll see that it's the gateway to Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary. So.
Right. Well.
Did that answer the question?
That was very good. I'm glad I pulled you back there from
Sorry.
I know you got a lot of things going on, and it was a busy day for you. But
yeah, fair enough. But I'm happy to answer any other questions that the committee may have.
Anybody have anything? No? Well, thank you, sir. I think.
All right. Hey, thank you all.
See you.
And we'll see some of you later this afternoon at the council meeting.
Let's see, I guess the
Motion on this.
Oh, yeah, we need a motion on the,
We'll try to keep them in line.
yeah. So I'll entertain a motion for the Alzheimer's, Parkinson's Walk to Remember.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, so now we're up to, and I think I got those, so. Now, this one doesn't hardly need our approval, it's probably the main reason for Memorial Island Veterans Day and Memorial Day, but a request for the use of Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary for Veterans Day ceremony on November 10th, and it would be by the Veterans Council, so I guess the only Veterans Council member left here is also City Councilman. I don't know, do you want to talk about Veterans Day, Colonel Young? I started to say Colonel Coombs probably should be here.
Real quickly, as a result of November 11th falling on Sunday this year, the Veterans Day ceremony on Memorial Island is going to be held on Saturday, the 10th of November. And the keynote speaker will be Lieutenant General Eric Schoonmaker, and Eric Schoonmaker is currently one of the directors for the Walter Reed Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, and he'll fly down here and be available for the ceremony. And in conjunction with the Veterans Day ceremony will be the recognition of veterans for the centennial of Vero Beach. And in addition to that will be the dedication or the recognition of the Gold Star Grove. So it'll be a very full morning out on the island, and I anticipate that there will be a significant crowd out there. So the word will go out to come early and bring a chair and wear your Florida casual garb. So, questions?
It will be a busy day. I think there's an antique car show that day a little later on, and of course ceremonies all around. What do they call it? The Navy, the SEAL team calls it the
muster.
Muster, is that going on that same day too?
I'm not sure if it's the previous weekend or that weekend. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Many come to our ceremonies here on the island. We print 1,500 programs and oftentimes give away most of them. It's also the Marine Corps birthday, but because of such a busy weekend, we're going to actually have the Marine Corps birthday ball the Saturday before. Any other questions or comments about Veterans Day?
The Veterans Day ceremony has taken a lot of, I think, the community is well tuned to it. I'll put it that way. I know Dr. Rendell was aware of the need to have it on Saturday, and he's fully committed, supporting it by the school and the band, and they're engaged, and I believe the city is 100% on that, and it should be a good day. And also, just one aside, is I believe as a result of the last inclement weather that there will be a backup, and the school has accommodated backup for that. So we don't want any surprise hurricanes popping up at the last minute and messing that up. But if that happens, the Performing Art Theater would be the backup location.
Well, that's great. It's always a good one, and as you've already mentioned, bring a chair if you plan to sit, because it's hard to have seating for 1,000 people out on the island.
It'll be a great occasion. So. Thank you.
All right, well, then I'll entertain a motion that we approve the Veterans Day ceremony.
I make a motion we approve the Veterans Day ceremony.
Okay. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, well then, let's see, I think we've gone through all the uses, and these are all...
Yeah, those are all signed. The one for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, I gave back to you.
Okay, and I believe these are...
I got it signed, so it's ready.
Okay. Well, the last thing we have is the resolution for Memorial Island, where we changed things slightly, and does anyone, I'm sure everyone's read it, does anyone have any questions about the changes? And the changes are for the community watching, and
Actually, the changes have not been made yet, but I made sure you guys all had copies of it, so because when Stephanie comes back, if you want to approve the changes that Mr. Young presented at the last meeting. I don't, asked about adding the Gold Star family.
I see. So
information.
once if we approve it, then she would go ahead and continue it on for the city?
Correct. She'll bring it back for your next approval to review it.
Okay.
Rita, are those changes in what was with the backup, or are those what you provided me, because I wasn't here at
It's
that
in the
last meeting?
minutes, but if you want more, it's in the minutes from the 8/16 meeting, the special call meeting.
And that's the procedures for recommendations and approval of the temporary monuments?
It's part of that conversation that,
Okay.
where Mr. Young made the comments about adding the wording of the Gold Star families in there for their approval of temporary names on the temporary plaques.
If you don't have it, this is, I think, just the whole thing, and it is that, basically that
Oh,
last.
no, I don't have that.
I guess
Peggy, you got any questions in regards to that?
No, that's fine.
there was quite a bit of discussion over it, but I guess it narrows it down to just this, and it is really that upon recommendation of the community by the Gold Star families, a temporary marker shall be placed at a buttonwood tree, which will make up 10 Gold Star family. It'll make up the 10-tree Gold Star family grove. Temporary markers are permitted to honor those who have sacrificed loved ones in support of our country. A temporary marker will not be replaced in the event it is damaged, destroyed, lost, or stolen, or otherwise removed. I guess the reason we have that wording is that elsewhere in the ordinance, is it an ordinance or is it a resolution? Is that there's only permanent markers to those that with cenotaphs, and so these therefore be described as temporary markers. But
I was concerned, I mean, in the language that you were just talking about, it's no other individual memorial shall be allowed. Is a marker and a memorial the same thing? Do you want to have language maybe there that says no other individual memorial shall be allowed?
I think yeah, that's a little bit, the intent there was discussion by the advisory committee if this would expand beyond the grove. And the intent is to limit it to the grove, to those 10 trees. So maybe there's...
so you're creating a whole new category of marker, not memorial.
It would be a temporary memorial at the grove for those identified families.
Well, then maybe we would want to say at that E3, what do you think about this, Kira? Something like, no other individual memorial shall be allowed except as otherwise stated herein, or in section, whatever section it was that was listed in there, just so that it refers to the change, so that you don't see that statement here, none shall be allowed, and then go down below, just note that.
I think that would be an improvement.
Yeah, Kira will be good at that, doing that.
I'll pass that on to Stephanie. I don't have the language that you're referring to.
Yeah, I just saw it briefly, but.
And John, and again, I apologize because I haven't had the opportunity to sit down with Stephanie to review this ahead of time. The other part was that once these temporary markers are no longer appropriate, I mean, because of the damage, the option was, at least the intent was for the Gold Star Gold Star moms to have the opportunity to replace those. So does the wording prevent that? I don't think it does. It should not.
I looked at it briefly, but I don't remember it that well.
It sounds like it does prevent that.
From what you read, I think that needed to be revised, because it said once they're...
A temporary marker will not be replaced in the event it's damaged, destroyed, lost, stolen, or otherwise removed. So they're permanent temporary markers, is what you're saying?
No. The concept was, as it's no longer appropriate because of the weathering, that the Gold Star mothers at that opportunity can return the plaque to the family and offer it at that location to another Gold Star family that may have not been afforded the recognition. So we probably need to get back with Stephanie and amend that so that you can see it next time.
And so that'll come back to us at the
I think
next
that's
meeting?
better,
Okay.
as best.
That'd be good.
How many of the ones that are honored there in the Garden of Remembrance have cenotaphs, or how many don't have, aren't from the area? Is that, do we know that number?
Say again?
Like if they were from this community and died in the service of our country, they would have cenotaphs, right? So how many of those aren't from our community or don't have cenotaphs, if that's a way of asking it? Do we know?
I have no idea. I mean, the opportunity is there for them to come to the Gold Star mothers and say, I would like to have the opportunity to have my son or daughter recognized, and they have the opportunity to do a temporary marker space available given the grove. And
I thought those names that you gave us last month, I thought none of those had cenotaphs at the island.
Oh, no, they're not authorized. Yeah,
Is
no.
that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, none of them had cenotaphs.
Oh, no.
Right.
No, this is, the Grove affords the opportunity for families that came here and not local to be recognized on a temporary basis. And we have 8 families that have come forward and said, I would like to have my son or daughter recognized. But, in looking at those applications, we found one individual who is eligible for a cenotaph, and that'll be submitted separately.
Right, that's what I thought.
Okay, so, questions? Kira, do you need anything else from me?
No, sir.
Okay.
I think that's all.
Anything else? Okay, thanks.
Carry on.
All right, well, let's see. See, on the Gold Star Families Monument and Plaques, I guess it's still a little bit of a moving target. I mean, it hasn't been totally resolved, but it's on the target. It's just not in the bullseye yet. Is that what we're? Which I'm sure it will be soon. Under Chairman's Matters, I just looking over what happened last year, and the anniversary. Last year it was the 72nd anniversary of the end of World War II, and so this therefore would be the 73rd. End of World War II was August 14th. Joel and I were talking about the end of the Vietnam War. Last year we had a celebration of the 50th anniversary, although I'm not sure what year that was, because 50 years ago we were knee-deep in the war. In fact, it was 1967. I think Sylvester McIntosh was recovering from battle wounds at that time and had just got home from Vietnam. I was on my way to Vietnam, but I guess the end of it was August 22nd of whatever year they're going to call that. So it is interesting and hard to imagine 50 years ago have gone by so fast. I went to Vietnam in 1968. I was born in 1950. That was 68 years ago and 50 years ago. Maybe I'd better play those lotto numbers or something, all that numerology going on there. But at any rate, and then of course we can't forget or shouldn't forget the terrorist attack on the World Trade Center, September 11th. And then POW-MIA Day is actually September 15th, but we're doing it on the island Friday the 21st, pardon me. Friday the 21st will be the POW-MIA ceremony on the island. And let's see, under Members' Matters, are there any other things that we didn't discuss yet, Peggy, or you got anything, Curtis?
No, I don't.
I'm good.
I'm good. Well, there, anybody down there? Okay, You, anything? Okay, I guess we're, pardon me, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I have
Yes, sir.
just a logistics question for the POW MIA Remembrance Day. We were going to fly the POW flag out on the big flagpole and use the smaller American flag for that day, but my thought was with the rucksack taking place on Saturday, maybe we should leave the POW flag up for the weekend, and that way it's flying for several days, if that's
What do you
okay
think,
with
since
you.
the actual POW MIA Day is the 15th, a few days before that, and then to fly it through the ceremony day, and then with those...
Through that, we can do that, whatever your pleasure, but I just wanted to make sure that we had it up for an appropriate amount of
No,
time.
good thinking. And if it's okay with the committee, I don't know if this requires a motion and second, but we could just, if POW MIA Day is the 15th, if we did it for 1 week, it would include that weekend of the Ruck March and and the ceremony. Does that sound like
That's a good thing.
a week of remembrance wouldn't be too much for, I think?
I think that's appropriate.
As long as it meets the flag code, I'm good.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
If we've got consensus, I don't know that you need a resolution or a motion for that,
Or has anybody
just
objected to that? It's
consensus.
kind of been an informal survey. I don't know, that's not official, but...
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
I don't
right.
think you could ever count the days.
Yeah, that's
So a
true.
week is minor.
Two real quick things. In regards to the through to November, Major General Clay Buckingham, who was out on Memorial Island a number of years ago, has expressed his desire to be a part of that. So he will be here. And he did mention to me when he said he'd like to be here that this is the anniversary of the First World War. So that was pretty amazing. And then we do have a potential VIP that can identify himself at his discretion. Sylvester McIntosh had the opportunity to provide an invitation from the City of Vero Beach to the Secretary of Defense to come and celebrate with Vero the centennial with us. So if his office contacts the city, I'll be sure to inform you all of his joining us, whether it would be for Veterans Day or Memorial Day. Most likely, he said if he's on the continent next year, he'll try to make it. So we want him to make it. Okay. Thank you.
So Sylvester McIntosh at one of his reunions of his battalion, or
The 1st to the 9th had a reunion in D.C., and Sylvester offered to be the what do you call it? It carries a message for that. And then also the other thing, I apologize for not bringing it up to mind. Monday evening, I will meet with the board from the American Legion Post 39, and they have expressed the desire to support the Gold Star Grove. So based upon their input, I will let you all know if there's going to be a cost associated with the plaque. But the city did approve up to $2,500 in the event that was not something that they could fund. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. On General Mattis, who has an appropriate nickname, Mad Dog Mattis, for those of you that know about some of his wartime experience, when I was in the 1st Battalion, 1st Regiment, 1st Division, and he was the commanding general of the 1st Division, when we had one of our reunions in San Diego, or at Camp Pendleton, and he gave a pretty long speech, and then, we were in the mess hall just with the regular troops, and he just came up to the table and kind of leaned on the table to talk to us like he was just a regular Marine, and I guess that was quite an honor. And some of us were, somebody said, well, who's that? And it's like, what do you mean, who's that? Did he coin the phrase, no worst enemy or no better friend, referring to the Marines going into combat, something like that? But at any right, anything else for our committee?
I got one thing for you.
Yes, sir.
September or October 3rd, I won't be at that meeting.
Oh, okay.
We have our semi-annual recertification training that day.
Okay, well, that's a worthy cause for you, and thanks for all you do for our veterans. And I guess before I make another mistake, did Rob Slezak, did you have something? Excuse me for overlooking you guys.
Good.
All right. Well, then, anything else? I guess we'll move to be adjourned. So, do we need a motion for that, or how do we close?
Bang the gavel.
Do we just say we're adjourned?